I am Feel It.
And I am Fix It. And we talk about life.
And stuff and things.
With the occasional rant.
Which you will have no problem doing.
Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night. Whatever it is, wherever you are, I hope you're having a good one.
Yes, very much.
Yep.
Deep breath.
Deep breath. Deep breath. It's been a day.
Been a day. Been a few weeks.
Yes, it has.
This fine evening that we were finally sitting down to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a few weeks. We do apologize for the absence last week. Some things came up.
Yeah, it was quite the week. Yeah.
And, I mean, we're just going to recap it all. Because
Sure.
it totally fits with Mental Health Awareness Month, right? And we had planned on me talking about Alzheimer's. And you have no idea what I'm going to talk about. We didn't talk about this ahead of time. It'll fit. It'll fit.
Sure. Okay.
We'll do a planned Alzheimer's later. I'll look up when Alzheimer's Awareness Month is. I'm not sure. I'll look it up. But, yeah, lots of other things that we could talk about that absolutely fit in that category. And again, we apologize. So I don't know where you want to start with the things. It's been quite the mosaic of things in the last few weeks. Let's back up to the pre-recorded for Mother's Day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we had gone up north to visit your family. I'm sorry, do you have an answer for me?
Yes.
And what is it?
Well, there's actually two.
Two.
Yes, June, which is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month.
Awesome.
Globally. And it's also November for National Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month in the U.S.
Okay. Well, then we'll pick a weekend next month. Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
This
our
fits.
wedding anniversary. Let's do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
It's been an emotional, odd few weeks.
Sure.
I don't know what you're comfortable sharing and where you'd like to pick this up because you have your perspective and I have mine.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd asked me to talk about Alzheimer's, which I had planned on. It's just not quite what the last few weeks have allowed to really create an episode, which you never actually planned an episode.
Not typically, no.
But I wanted to be thorough with that type of subject matter, and instead, what had happened to us, I definitely have an authority to speak on what I want to say. It's not specifically Alzheimer's, so I don't know. What are you comfortable sharing about why we did not end up recording last weekend?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So let's be real, right? Because that's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is. And though we don't typically give like personal specifics, names,
nope,
like that. And this is a toughie.
Mm-hmm.
That's your parents.
Yep.
And I want to be respectful, but I want to be real. What we encountered was completely unexpected.
Yeah, that's a good way to put that.
And the mental state of your parents, specifically your stepdad,
mm-hmm.
has drastically declined.
Which is not surprising, to be completely honest.
No.
No.
What was more surprising was, and let's also explain, you don't talk with your mom much.
Not too often.
It's a lot of texting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not phone call. It's not visit. There is a 2.5 hour distance between us, and they live their lives and have their priorities, and so do we. But your mother never alluded to the decline happening, and
No.
we have a hard time believing she couldn't have seen it. And there might be a whole lot of reasons for that, a whole lot of denial, or maybe her own cognitive deficit, because as we have talked very openly about, she is likely on the spectrum at best. If I'm sure there's other things that could be diagnosed, but
yes,
most certainly on the spectrum. And that very well could be jading how she perceives, on top of the denial and the stress of being a caregiver, because it's very evident that he needs a lot more care than he did when we saw him last, which I was thinking back in my mind about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
About 1.5 years ago. We'd gone up for the funeral and stopped and visited them. And that was between my kidney cyst removal and my kidney removal. It was that fall, that September. So about 1.5 years ago. And very different man today.
Yeah.
So that was shocking.
Well, and I mean, one's not too surprised to a degree. I mean,
only if you knew him.
He retired. That almost always results in a decline with people that don't have hobbies.
That's not quite all of it.
No. And he's 75, so I mean, he's not young to begin with, and taking good care of himself has never been particularly high on the priority list. And then it was later on in life, he was diagnosed as bipolar. And as far as I know, that was never treated. Still isn't.
No, it's not.
You never met the youngest of the brothers.
No. He passed before I came around.
Yes.
And I've been in the picture like 30 years.
And he was messed up. He spent a majority of his life, his adult life, in the state hospital, the mental hospital. My dad's younger brother, who passed a few years ago, you did meet him, and he had some issues physiologically due to an accident. But that wasn't all of his issues.
A few years ago. My goodness, he's been gone a long time.
Yeah, quite a while. Of the 4 brothers, the eldest, who passed not that long ago,
the most functioning, professional,
yes,
good life, full life,
balanced and stable, and
I believe he was a nurse.
He used to work at the mental hospitals. Why? I don't know all the specifics. I don't know exactly what he used to do. But no, he was of the 4, he was the most
high functioning.
It's one of those words that you don't like using simply because it doesn't really mean much, but
normal.
Normal. He was just a normal guy. I'm sure that there was, the closer you get to him, the more you'd see something out of whack. But because everybody's a little out of whack. If they're not, then you got to ask, what are they hiding?
It was hard to believe that your stepdad outlived them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No argument.
So.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah. All the stories and things, and it's hard to put this into perspective, and we're diving in, right? Like, we're just diving in because we're on our own shell shock, and why not talk about this, right? Deaf. We've talked about that. Deaf, bipolar.
Yeah, forget
probably on the spectrum himself. I sometimes wonder.
Yes.
Let's just say, so many mental illnesses overlaps that even I'm looking at him like, man, even if I had a DSM in front of me right now, I couldn't figure it out.
It would take a very long time.
Now,
a lot of dedicated
am I
effort.
too close to the picture to maybe do that? Sure, but there's the education side of me that's just like, as I'm staring at him, thinking, there is deterioration.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what else you could diagnose him with. The conversation, if that's what you want to call it, that he had with our daughters was very telling of how gone he is.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to get into all the specifics, but let's just say their home was in quite a state of disarray. There were things that needed repair that were very imperative to the home.
Mm-hmm.
They'd been functioning for some time without certain things working properly.
Mm-hmm.
They'd been managing by the grace of God, but it needed to be fixed.
Yes.
So you went up north, you went back to go fix it.
And I mean, like we took them out to eat. That's where, and then we decided to go back to it's like go hang out at their house for a little while and just chat.
Well, we'd asked if they'd wanted to spend more time with us, and we'd go back to their home.
Yeah. And
otherwise, she wouldn't have said anything.
And then once we found out, I'm like, okay, let me. And it's like, oh, okay, how long has this not been working? How long? Seriously, we've been on the phone, we've talked.
Mm-hmm.
We spent an hour and a half on the phone the last time we talked on the phone. We talked about all kinds of crap. And you talked about people I don't know them. I have no idea who these people are, but they're people in your life, so you're telling me about them. That's awesome. At no point did you say, hey, this isn't working. We're having a problem here. I mean, you said it was, they said that they were having a little issue. No, you're not having a little issue. You have things that legitimately aren't working at all.
That are pretty imperative to a home.
Yes. And
if anyone's catching on or not, I'm still not going to say it.
Yeah.
My plausible deniability has been completely blown out of the water, and I've had a lot of thoughts
Sure.
and feelings about that as a mandated reporter. But it's fixed now.
It is. Anyway.
And it was so nonchalant, the way she said it. It was like she was talking about a recipe.
Yeah.
It was just an average Tuesday conversation. It blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Blew my mind.
Yep. So
that was the first red flag.
So it was okay. All right. Okay. This isn't good. This is not cool. This should not be like this. Even if I couldn't help, I fix things for a living. Okay, it's what I do, and I have the. Okay, there's that. There's a joke about, are you really jack of all trades, or you just have ADHD and you just picked up a whole bunch of stuff? It's like, you know what? It's one and the same. All right, it's both. It's both. No, I tell people all the time, I can do just about everything to a point. Like, if I have rewired a house, I am not an electrician. I can, I've run a lathe and a mill. I'm not technically a machinist. I work on pneumatic and hydraulic systems all the time. I'm not a fluid power specialist. I have rigged things that weighed in excess of 80 tons. but I'm not a rigger. I'm not a millwright. I can do 80% of the job of all of these specialties. There's a point where you gotta call in somebody other than me, and I will happily tell you when that point is. But they're aware I can do a lot of stuff. You could at least have said, hey, we're having this thing's actually being a real big problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Would you like me to come up and take a look? I mean, I can carve out a weekend. I don't mind. Well, we were up there and I took a look and like, oh no, this is not good. And you were like, no, we got to fix this. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We got to fix this.
No, I immediately said there was no question that we had to fix it.
So I made a list of stuff and when we came home and then that week bought everything I could possibly think of for the repairs, knowing full well I was going to end up taking some of it back, but I wanted to make sure I had everything I needed to do the job, and went up there on a Thursday, which I usually work Thursday nights. I went up there on a Thursday evening, went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and got to work. And I didn't make it home before dark.
No.
But when I left, it was as good as I was capable of getting it.
And functioning.
Yes.
Which was the most imperative part.
Yes. Got them taken care of. So, there's that. But by the end of all of that, there's just... I spent the time I was there and the time we came back just kind of processing how do you let your life get like that? And some of it's just some of it's more not, it's like emotional shock that you let it get like that. Because if you think about, I think we all know to a degree, I mean, it's been done on medical shows, but individuals that have that, it was just it's a tumor. The thing weighs 300 pounds. That huge gargantuan freaking tumor. It's like, well, why? It's like, when did you notice something was wrong? Well, I noticed a little bump right here 10 years ago. Okay. Why didn't you talk to a doctor then?
10 years ago.
10 years ago, or the hoarder that, it's like they got a little path carved to that one spot that they sleep. And everything else is just, how it's bad. You are cognitively aware that it's bad. I guess you could say a lot of stuff falls into that kind of category. The crazy cat lady, or the dog person, or whatever. It's like there's a level of depression that blinds you to how bad things are. There's.
I will go with you
there's
on
being
that.
Depressed, and then there's being accepting of. It's like, this is as good as I can get it, so I'm just going to accept it and move on.
But that wasn't even
it's
remotely
like
true.
you got to rock bottom, and you just like, okay, I guess this is just my life now.
Because he's alive?
No, I
mean that's how I'm feeling right now. Like, there's so many things overlap in there.
Yeah, and
you talk to him about it, and it's just like normal. Like, it's just no big deal at all. He's chuckling about it. It's great. It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, no, something's happening to you.
Something's.
And then with her, and again, it's your parents. I want to be mindful of that. Between us, I mean, in the conversations we've had, there's shock, there's feelings, but she has allowed a certain lifestyle to happen and think that it was okay.
Yep.
And then on top of that, the way that she describes his decline and, his inability to be able to get in and out of the shower, and because of certain structural issues in the bathroom, they can't put up handles. So he's only going in a day or two a week at the most. That's not okay. they're still giving all the money to the charities and the things. Well, God bless them for it, but you're telling me you can't afford home health care aid, yet you're giving all this money to all these charities on top of your tithe. And I don't want to judge that. I mean, tithing is important, giving is important, but there's a priority there that is being very much underplayed.
Sure.
And if I had spoken that day, it would have been ugly. I wasn't in a great mental place sitting there trying to process it all at 100 miles an hour.
Nope.
I'm glad that you went and you fixed the issue that you did. There's still other issues in the home that are what they are.
Yeah.
And there's still the idea that he's not necessarily getting the care he needs right now. And she's tired and there's only so much she can do. It could be better. It could be better, but I wasn't in a place to have that conversation. I still don't know if I could. Only God could really bring me around in the moment, if to not sound threatening or mean, because I should have taken different steps. I knew that, but I felt released to not, because you were going to take care of it. But there's a very hard conversation that needs to be had. And you surfaced it from what you told me. And this is what I lived through. Very different version. But it's not fun to tell your parent that something is very wrong and something needs to be done. And I don't mean in this way that, like, you don't want to have to deal with it, so take care of it. It's, no, this is just not okay.
And let's be honest, I don't. I really don't. But,
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But there's distance as a factor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, again, we're 2.5 hours away.
So we're not right there.
Yeah, it's...
And look at what happened in a year and a half with conversations you talked to her and she did not tell you.
Yep.
I don't think that she was trying to hide it. I think she genuinely didn't quite understand the severity of the situation.
Yeah.
I don't think she understood what was really wrong with what was going on all the levels. And even still, how it sounded to us to say that she can't afford the home health care aid, but, you know, he's insisting that they give all this money to these charities, you know, these adopted African children and the Jewish people. And God bless anybody that does donate to those things. I'm not against that, but there are times when that's not the priority. That is not the priority. And it's now. And I was not the person to have that conversation when we were there. But it's a hard conversation. And I understand more than I could ethically tell any client when they're sitting in front of me talking about very similar situations and they don't know what to do, or they're just tired and they're at their end. And I get it. I do get it. I've been there. My mother passed so quickly, there wasn't even a time to process it before I ended up taking care of my dad. And my dad was not in the place, even with vascular dementia. He was not in the place that your stepdad is.
No.
Your dad's way worse. My dad could fake it.
Your dad could fake it. Well, I mean,
and he knew what he was faking.
I would.
Your stepdad doesn't even know he should fake it.
Yeah, well, at least he's genuine.
So far gone, he doesn't even know.
Doesn't even care. Does make one wonder, or I should say, it does make me wonder, what your dad would have been like had he made it to 75.
Oh my gosh, that's a good question.
Yeah. And still going. Though I don't know for how much longer. I mean, again, he's 75 years old.
And God forbid your mother pass first.
Yeah. But, 75 years old, obviously, I mean, he's got some cardiac issues. He's definitely got a weight control problem. He's had that basically my entire life. Yeah. But, it's at some point, I mean, I get at some point, you're putting your finger in the dike, I guess. It's like, there's only so much we can do, and what little we can do isn't going to really help anything. So it's like, he is not long for this world. I am very much aware of that. But yeah, it's like, no, you need a fully functioning house. I mean, yeah, there's some things that are weird that should be dealt with, sure. But you need a house that works. And some of the weird crap you can just, whatever, okay, fine. But the basics need to be, they need to be good. And just to be...
And not so for months.
Yeah, months of not working. Yeah, no. And then, but it was like you said, the nonchalantness of it all.
It was mind-blowing.
What?
It was absolutely mind-blowing.
Well, and when...
I don't know, it was just out of left field. It was like, that is not what you expected to come out of her mouth.
No.
Or how it came out of her mouth.
Well, and we were having the conversation about what was going on and what I can do to fix it. And then for a split second, she looked like she was about to break down in tears.
Yes, I saw it. I did see that.
And then she put a lid on it. And it was like, oh no, she's aware.
Oh, she's aware.
She's aware.
Okay. Yes, but I don't think she was aware of the severity of what she was saying.
No, I
I
doubt it.
Sure don't think she realized she shouldn't have been saying it to me.
Yeah.
But
probably not.
I did not hesitate to help you figure out how to get you there and what you needed, and and this is where the honesty is, right? I'm just like anybody else. It doesn't matter that I'm a mental health counselor. I have feelings. I have thoughts. I have struggles. I have family drama. We have been together a very long time. Mm-hmm. And I have seen a host of things in your family, right? Mm-hmm. I might have had the jacked upness in mine, but you sure had your brand too.
Yes. Oh, no argument. No, definitely no argument there.
Hands down, that was the most phenomenally awful visit. Mm-hmm. And our children were old enough and cognizant enough.
It was a pretty decent visit up until what do you mean? What? What doesn't work?
Our children they're adults.
Yes.
They understood how bad that was.
Mm-hmm.
They were very aware that your stepfather was acting like a toddler. They couldn't wrap their heads around it. Like, it was shocking to them. They didn't get to see those things with my dad. My dad didn't live to have that level of deterioration, number one.
Thankfully.
But number two, what they do know, the experience that they'd had with my parents did kind of set them up to know what is bad. And that was a level of bad I don't think any of us ever thought we would see.
No.
And yes, I would say she's got a whole host of layers, your mother, on all of the denial. It's got to be incredible. And depression, most certainly. Mm-hmm. But you also can't convince me that she doesn't have her own level of deterioration. Now, whether or not that is stress or trauma-induced, I don't know. Because the years of taking care of your dad have certainly taken a toll.
Yeah.
And I'd be the first one to say that's real.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no convincing her that she just needed to be the one to start making choices. There is no more going to him and asking him. You just do. And that is the conversation that shut me down. Because I would have gotten ugly. And it wouldn't have been okay. And it would have been worse than it already was. And there was already a period in time when your mother didn't talk to me right after we got married. And I didn't really care to repeat that for a different reason.
Sure.
But I'm a different person now.
Mm-hmm.
So I can handle it. And I told you there's a threshold that is fast approaching. So if I've got to be the one to go have the conversation, I would happily make a day trip to go back up and sit down with her and say, this is how bad this is.
Mm-hmm.
And that might have to happen.
Yeah, it might.
I think it might. Yeah. And this is us being very real with the public. We have to go through it too. I hear about it all the time. I've been hearing about it in my advocacy work and my end of life coaching. I heard about all kinds of situations. All kinds of situations. I'm still hearing about it. I don't know where in society people lost their ability or willingness to talk about these things. I understand that some of it's generational. That back in the day, you just did. You just took care of your parents, and if they lost their minds or whatever they went through, you just dealt with it, or you locked them up, or you sent them away, or whatever you did with them. But those days are done. Now you actually do need to have conversations. You actually do have to talk about it. It's okay to talk about it. And even in our children, like our children needed to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to process what they witnessed.
Yes.
And that was okay. We invite that. We would rather they talked and asked questions than bottle it up and try to make sense of something that's nobody's going to make sense of. Yep. And
well, and to be, this one's a little bit off that, but watching how our girls process it completely differently was also pretty entertaining, to be fair.
Well, our oldest with autism, mind you, was trying to have a conversation with her grandpa about money.
Yes.
And how much it costs, like, to continue to live there. Like, it's just going to eat them alive, really. And why don't they just sell it and get an apartment? And he kept insisting they didn't have any money. And sure, and then when he actually said to our daughter that she didn't understand, she about lost it. No, you don't understand. And she actually said that.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't have. Let's be honest, with certain things, she doesn't have much of a filter.
But it was true. He didn't understand.
No.
He didn't. Like, it was entertaining to watch.
It was. But, like, our youngest, she can turn things into absolute zingers. I mean...
She's got a great wit.
She does. But you can see on her face, she's, like, dealing with this in her own way, and it comes out as sarcasm and humor. And
she comes by that honest.
She does.
What just happened? What is happening right now?
Yes. Yeah. It's definitely been.
So that
yeah.
That had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That had to happen. You had to go deal with that.
Yes.
You get home. There was things around here that needed to be dealt with because we had a crazy storm go through for the first time in my adult life. I had to go to the basement for the sirens going off for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
There was a tornado warning. There were several in our county.
Yes.
And
not too far
it was
from
coming
here.
Right at us.
One of them was not that far from here.
No, it was not. And
I was watching.
The wind was wild, and we kept watching, and it just kept getting closer and closer, and it wasn't dissipating. And I said, we got to go to the basement. Let's just do it. I grabbed my work bag. I grabbed my purse and my dog, and our oldest was still awake. The youngest slept through all of it.
Oh, yeah.
She totally slept through it.
Oh, yeah. She's just, yeah. Once she's out, she's dead to the world.
And somehow, by the grace of God, and it was loud. I'm talking a loud storm for a good 20 to 30 minutes. Loud. And by the grace of God, the only thing that was ruined was the canopy over our deck. It was like watching, I told people it was like watching a paranormal video. I forgot, I felt bad that I left the hammock out there, but, cause we knew the storm was coming, and, the hammock flies off, and then the grill, the flat top, just flies across the deck and upright, thank goodness.
Just for context, it's a 36-inch flat top grill. That
light.
top weighs a good 50, 60 pounds, plus the rest of it and a full propane tank.
It flew.
It just, and across the deck. Just perfectly just.
And then this strange, like, whoosh sound, and then it sucked down the canopy, and it just fell.
Yeah, massive downdraft.
It was not rain.
Just collapsed that puppy.
It was not rain. Talked to her, the neighbors on the other side of us, they had children and toys in the backyard and stuff, and none of it.
The trampoline still sitting in its proper spot.
Yeah, they were fine.
That's just weird.
It was just us. The other neighbors also fine, and
I think the trees close to their yard probably shielded quite a bit of that. But
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree. We're the neighbor that doesn't have any shade,
not really,
any trees,
nope,
any interference there.
Yeah, we got a lot of clear sky. But
so just a lot of damage the next morning when I got up to go to work. Toys and things and debris and trash and all kinds of stuff. And then at my office building, there was flooding. They had just come into the front foyer, and they had signs and fans and things, and they're trying to dry the carpet and deal with that, and it was just wild. It was a wild, wild storm.
Sure.
So you came home to helping with that.
Yes.
And then the light, when the frame of I was strong enough. I had a moment where I didn't know what to do. At first, I'm like staring at this, and I'm like, that's a fire hazard. I've got to move it. And the way the canopy fell against the door, and we have a sliding door. That's where we let our dog out. And I just thought, okay, I've got to move it. Mm-hmm. And it was just stuck, and it was heavy, and it was awkward.
Yes.
And we'd just gotten our new heavy canvas on it, which was not light.
No.
So I was strong enough to push it out and bend it away and, shut off the light switch. But then we had that to deal with. And then we had our good family friend come, and then his best friend, and our daughters are best friends with them, come for a birthday celebration.
Yep.
And just try to decompress. Mm-hmm. And we were not in the headspace to do this. We were still not in the headspace to talk about your family. And I also got in the news prior that I need a partial hysterectomy. So it was a wild week.
Yeah.
It's no longer, you say choice, but the adenomyosis is growing out. It's not growing in, so it's not creating, and we're going to go into some detail here about anatomy. So if you're squeamish, here's your warning. Within the uterus, after an ablation is done, sometimes blood pockets can form when you have adenomyosis. There are no pockets. It is not growing in, which is its own blessing, but it is still quite painful and causing other issues because it's growing out. So it's pushing on my intestines and my bladder. Not pleasant at all. And some of my symptoms are better than because of the hormone replacement. I finally got back on that, but just processing that reality and like, how is that going to look, and when is that going to happen? When I've got nearly a full-time schedule going right now, and parents that have already scheduled and planned out with me through the summer with their own trips and work schedules, and I don't know how that's going to look right now. I don't know. I just know that it's not something I feel I can push out to the end of the year. I would be doing no one any good, including especially myself. but summer's coming, right? And I joked, I was all like, I can make it without a surgery. And I'm not going to say I spoke too soon. I'm not going to talk like that. Because it's just kind of a joke in our home. Like if I can just like miss certain holidays or special dates, that's all anybody could really ask for, because I've had something now every year for 5 years. This will be 5 years. At least one thing a year.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes more.
Yeah, sometimes more.
And in this time, it's like, okay, what is that going to look like? And figuring that out logistically, when we also had a pre-planned, already prepaid vacation to Tennessee in October to go see our dear friends down there, and get away for a week. So there's things to consider there. And then on top of that, outside of that, our oldest daughter made the local news.
Not just her.
Not just her.
Not
her
just
and
her.
four of her former coworkers.
Yes.
And with all of that drama, and that's a local drama, which some people have said they want to make it national again. They want to bring attention to it again because it's so ludicrous. But we had said she works for a library.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to go ahead and name it. It's Patmos Library in Jamestown Township, which is not far from Hudsonville, Michigan. Not going to get all the history of all the hoopla and all the things, but they have had a history of issues, quite a bit in the last 4 or 5 years. She'd worked there for 2 years, coming out of like the worst of it, so to speak, that affected their funding. But unfortunately, the new board that was voted in, the 4 members that were voted and that created this new board as of November, it's just been a lot of stuff that had been mounting. She'd been talking to us about how to handle some of it and how much longer she thought she could. She was trying very hard. And then on a Friday, it just exploded. It exploded.
Yep.
She made a choice. We're very proud of her for the choice, which was to quit a job where she had been repeatedly told to mislead the public, lie to them. They didn't have funding for this, or they couldn't get a hold of that, and it wasn't true. That wasn't true. Because the board has had an agenda.
Yes.
And they've been pushing more and more toward an ultra-conservative.
Which, and I've said before, it's like, I don't disagree with, like, the stance that any individual member of that board has in regards to this shouldn't be where kids can get at it. I don't disagree. I don't. But on the flip side of that, it's a public library getting government funds, which means what you're trying to do isn't legal.
It's like you really want to start splitting hairs here on ethics, people?
And it's a public library, publicly funded.
Yes.
And the entire point of that is so that the people that are in the minority have access to what they want, just as much as the majority has access to what they want. And you can't... I always put it like this. The people who silent speech and ban things have never gone down in history as the good guys.
Fair.
I'm a very...
And this was ridiculous. They'd say that they couldn't get a hold of something, and then they went through some weeding process, and I guess that's normal. But then also we're told that they couldn't replace things, do things, get things. None of that was true. And they knew that. Yep. But then when they questioned that, it became an issue. And it wasn't just our daughter, it was other employees as well.
Oh, yeah.
Why can't we?
Where
is the money? Because they're supposed to be.
Yep.
And then this new lady comes in, and the last few weeks of our daughter's employment, this new woman comes in who, I guess we're just going to say the board, somehow related to the board president. Okay, that's what we know. There's an association there. And suddenly she becomes the adult librarian. It's the adult librarian. And she could order a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought there wasn't money for stuff. Like, we've been telling people there isn't money for stuff, and we can't get a hold of certain things. Mm-hmm. And this woman just goes and gets a bunch of conservative, inspirational books.
Mm-hmm. And again, I
okay, but there's no money.
It's there's a difference between a private library and a public library. A private library, you do what the heck you want. We don't have those books here because we don't want them. It's my library. I do what I want. A public library is the public determines.
Then it got to the point where
what needs to be there,
including our daughter. Mm-hmm. If you questioned anything, your job was threatened.
Mm-hmm.
You were threatened to be written up.
Yep. Even though not legal.
You weren't even allowed to speak at their public board meetings.
When the board tells the employees you can't talk at the public, it's like, wait a second. These are public forums. That's, again, not legal. That's not legal. And again, the people that silence other people have never gone down in history as the good guys.
So what it came down to our understanding, was the day it went down, was the director was told that she was, among all the things, I don't know the entire order of it, but basically that she was told she needed to write people up. She refused. She was told that she would end up being demoted, removed. I'm not positive on that one. If she didn't do this or that or the other thing, mm-hmm. She refused. And I believe the intention was to put in her notice, but mm-hmm. then she was told to just leave. Mm-hmm. And then when they came down then to that children's librarian who was supposed to be written up for talking at a board meeting, mm-hmm. then she also was going to put in notice, but was told to just leave.
Yep.
And then other employees just left.
Yeah, basically, they
were all told to just leave.
Yeah, they were
not allowed to put in 2 weeks.
Here's my
notice.
2 weeks. It's like, no, if you're going to leave, just go. And then, when it got down to our daughter, this board member got in her face. You leaving too? Just get out. And
at first, she's like,
my daughter was like, no. It was originally her intent. Just like, no, I'm going to try and stick this out and see if I can figure. Oh no, she got in her. My daughter's not one for confrontation.
No.
Anyway, but and she's been struggling with the situation for a while. But you get in her face and yell at her, unprovoked. Undeserved. She's like, you know what?
She collapsed, and that's okay.
Now
that's okay.
She didn't say it, but what she could have said was, "I wasn't until just now."
Oh, I wish she'd said so much more.
And no, thank you for.
Because it took her, she said, 20 minutes or something to stop crying long mm-hmm. enough to even decide, yep. I can't do this. I can't stay.
Yep.
And she's right. It would have continued. There would mm-hmm. have been. It had been bullying. It had been an issue.
Yes.
And I can't believe there were patrons mm-hmm. in and out of that library that day.
Yes.
Somebody had to have seen this, heard this, saw it all go mm-hmm. down. I don't know where these people are, but man, do I wish they would talk.
Yeah. Well, and see,
because this wasn't just some stunt.
No.
And this is
that's the thing.
Being misconstrued.
Yeah, like it was a publicity stunt. It's like, no, it was not a publicity stunt. No. They had been fighting in a toxic environment for a long time.
They just weren't public about it. They were trying to be respectful as best they could.
And then it came to a head.
They were done.
And when the person that's on top in their hierarchy, the one that was sheltering the people, it's like, these are the employees of the library, and my job is between them and the board, and that person is now gone. There's no it's like there's nobody there to protect the lower, the lower level employees.
And then our daughter would have been alone.
Yeah, and it's like, and if you look at the whole situation, I'm only vaguely aware of some of this stuff, but there are state and federal guidelines for how an elected board can interact with the library, yes. which they were in violation
yes.
of. There are
very much.
There are state statutes regarding libraries that weren't being followed, that were being ignored by the board. And then you throw in, it's like, oh, you have to certain things like writing them up for speaking at a public forum.
Man, do I wish that was publicized more.
Holy crud. Yeah. And I saw an article where it was a publicity stunt. It's like, that wasn't a publicity stunt.
That was ignorant.
They were.
That was the ultra conservative guy, the Ottawa Impact guy. He's the one that wrote that.
That wasn't a planned stunt. Yes, they all went, the employees got together.
The details of all of it were not talked about.
No. The employees did get together and they did talk to a reporter together as a group because they wanted to make sure that people heard the other side of the dang story. Because the board's not going to paint themselves as the bad guy, and the board is the bad guys.
They weren't even talking.
The board was in
violation.
A smart
attorney.
Yeah, the board was in violation of state statutes and state regulations regarding libraries, and they wanted punitive action taken against employees for exercising their protected constitutional rights of speaking at a public forum.
And it did, to a degree, at the board meeting, the emergency board meeting that was held. Well, it wasn't even emergency. I guess it wasn't. I apologize. It was normally scheduled that just became something completely different. So this all happened on Friday. So that Monday evening there was a board meeting. And some of that did come out, but nowhere near all the details that could have. And it became chaos. It's unfortunate.
Yes.
But we've had that piece to deal with in our home of navigating this when there is fear of the stigma.
Oh, yeah.
And there is concern that she really hasn't been trained for anything else, but she works very hard to become trained and promoted in that job.
Yes.
We had advocated for that place, that library, Patmos Library, to be showcased at the Disability Advocates of Kent County Gala, if you recall that, a year and a half ago. When our daughter was showcased and they'd gone to the library and videoed her working and did some interviews and some talking to people there about her and how well she'd been doing. And it's sad. It's sad isn't even the right word. And it's an understatement. It just, they're supposed to reopen. I don't know what it's going to look like. They've got a bunch of temp workers. There's still all kinds of statutes that are being violated. I don't know who's going to be able to do anything with it. Thank God our tax dollars don't go there.
Yep.
People are upset. They're pissed because it's a joke. It's a show. And a lot of things came out at that board meeting that were interesting about money siphoning and things that are happening. And, and it's just a lot. It's a lot of mess.
There's a lot. Yeah.
We're trying to encourage our daughter to have some closure to it as best she can, but we know she needs to heal too.
Yes.
And it's, what does that need to look like? And
yep. Well, and at the same time dealing with, it's like she's looking for work now and she doesn't know what direction to go or where to go. And, it's like, okay, well, and I'm trying to constantly remind her, it's like, you're going to eat, you're going to be clothed, you're going to be taken care of, regardless of job or not, because we're going to make sure you're taken care of, So, yes, you need to find a job for your own self, for your own benefit. But breathe. You don't have to stress about any of this. Breathe. You're going to be okay regardless. You find a job. Even if it's not a job you stick with long term, you can find yourself a job for right now. Because right now she's like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm not working. I don't know what to do. It's like, okay, well then find a part-time job. I mean, easier said than done sometimes, but it's like, put yourself out.
Going back and forth about all of it.
You can put yourself out there, and find, you'll find something. Just know. Sometimes you just know, it's like, I have no business being in this job. I should not even apply. Yep. Me and, I should never be a waiter. I know that wholeheartedly. You don't want me as a waiter. irritability and sarcasm and being a good waiter do not go together. That's not a good thing. So it's like, yeah, don't do that job. There are other jobs. I can do a lot of crap. I have done a lot of crap. I have run the counter at a video store. I have done a lot of stuff over the years. But like you can find something, and when you have something, it takes the stress off a lot for looking for its replacement.
And we want her. I mean, we want her to feel supported, and we are doing our best to navigate that, and even the discussion I had to have with our youngest, because our oldest she's been emotional. She's been grieving. She's been
and she was very invested.
Things.
It's like she was invested in the library,
she loved her job.
Their patrons,
she loved
and her coworkers.
Job.
Yeah,
she knew them by name. She knew those patrons by name.
Yes. Oh yeah, and
she loved that job.
We've cracked jokes about her being a librarian from the time she was like 4. You brought her to a library and she lit
loved it
up.
She loved it.
She always has. It's like, oh my gosh, all these books. Oh, and there's a fireplace and a couch, and it's like
we did live near a beautiful library.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah,
Portland is a beautiful library.
The Portland Library. If you ever get a chance, go downstairs to the kids section.
Gorgeous.
There's a fireplace and couches and big picture windows.
The fireplace was upstairs.
It's downstairs.
Okay.
It's downstairs.
Guess I don't remember.
And overlooking the river and trees. It's like you can kick back with a book and just chill and listen to the kids giggling, playing in the little play place and with their little picture books. It was phenomenal.
They loved it.
Anyway, great library. If you get a chance, I would say, check it out.
But she,
if you're in the vicinity, check it out.
And of course I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not going to lie. I am concerned.
Yes.
I am concerned about what she'll do and how well she'll do, and the hits to the self-esteem and the grieving that she still needs to go through in that process, and what that's going to look like, and hoping that she is emotionally regulated enough and that she still can be respected at a new job for the challenges that she has. I don't know how that will look.
Yeah, and it's one of those things you don't know until you're there. And I think part of the struggle for her right now too is it's like she's well adapted, and she's got some recognized certifications regarding working in libraries.
She worked for those.
And she did. Yeah, she worked for those. There's not a lot of library jobs. It's a very small market.
And the few that were posted, I know the one she got a notice that other people basically more qualified applied.
There was 5 people left the library, and 4 of them put in for the same jobs.
Well, 5 left total, including her. So I think like 3 or 4 of them did.
I think the one decided they were gonna they had another part-time job and school.
And
so
of them, yes, there were people who were more qualified. I don't know about other people that applied. I don't know.
So I mean, it's kind of niche. I guess niche. Like libraries are everywhere, but they have a very small payroll. There's just not a lot of people there, and there's generally not a lot of money to be made. But pay your bills, you'll be good. See, I'm in a very the skilled trades. There is for every 3 jobs, there's 2 people to fill them. Nationally, as of right now. And that number has been slowly getting... The difference has been getting bigger. Like, there's not a lot of people that have been getting into the skilled trades. I think So I have a different problem. If I could lose my job and I could have another job by next week. I could leave a job on Friday and have a job on Monday. I mean, in a lot of cases.
Yeah, you could.
I'm blessed in that regard. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I'm not big for that kind of thing. But, I'm in a it took a long time to get there. Like, she's on her own path. She is not. Actually, both of our girls, they're on their own paths.
And then our youngest started
yes.
her third shift job.
Yes.
So it's just been an odd tilt in the home, and
everything's kind of rattled.
And what's going on, and who's helping with what,
mm-hmm.
and then I've been working more, which I've been blessed to do,
mm-hmm.
And kind of now moving into that summer schedule, which is going to be a little different, but a little less crazy. But it's been a weird couple weeks, and there are still moments I'd say I'll come back down and process for a second. It's not about just thinking our daughter's pigeonholed and thinking the worst of it. It's that it's
not at all. No.
This is an odd, complex situation.
It is.
It was already emotionally heightened. This wasn't her just choosing to leave and having somewhere else to go. This was a in the moment decision that we are proud that she stood on what she believed in, her convictions. And first and foremost, it was basically that her ethics and morals mattered.
Yeah.
That continuing to lie to the public was wrong. Continuing to be bullied and watch other people be bullied. I mean, like, it was ridiculous.
The fact that the final straw was you treated me like that, I'm out of here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this
that
was
is
a
like,
grown
you know what?
adult
You know what?
screaming at another grown adult.
Yep.
Like, who in the hell did this woman think she was?
Yep. Well, and she might not have been able to say anything. She might not have been able to.
It was a bully.
Yeah.
It was a bully. It was a predator.
Yeah. She
might. Knew that
she
our
might
daughter
not
was
have
not
had
going to be able to stick up for herself.
Yeah. So she's like, yeah, no, you're not treating me like that. I'm out of here. I respect that.
And
I respect that quite a bit.
It wasn't. They were. Let me be clear. Not given the option to provide notice. It was if you want to quit, leave. They were not even given the opportunity to get their belongings.
No, which
is another crappy, probably wrong, illegal thing. But you know, that was on them to deal with that. And our daughter said she didn't have anything there of real serious value. And then at that board meeting, her
stapler.
The board, I know, right? Well, actually, I think she ended up getting it.
Yeah, I think she did.
The board
end up
meeting,
going back for it. Yeah.
They allowed 10 minutes for them to get their things after the board meeting. And if you're somebody like one of the young ladies, the children's librarian, I know, right? Well, we watched that recently.
Yes.
And if you're like that young lady that, was the children's librarian and had a ton of stuff there, and she's like asking people for boxes and bags and anything they might have had in their car so she could get it out of the building. It was just so sad to watch.
Yeah.
I hear fireworks. Did you hear fireworks?
I heard something that sounded like fireworks. Okay. They apparently didn't get the notice.
It's a holiday weekend.
Yeah. The city of Grand Rapids said they'd be handing out fines for people setting off fireworks Memorial Day weekend.
We're not in the city of Grand Rapids.
This is true. But
we're outside of that.
Yeah, but there was like fines up to like $30,000.
I did not hear. Is this a new thing? I thought because the state law is that they're allowed to do it like so many days or whatever, hours or whatever of a holiday weekend or some crap.
Well, the only holiday that I know was enumerated in legislation was the 4th of July.
I don't know, man. It's every holiday fireworks are going off.
Oh, yeah, it's nuts. Well, and to be there's a lot of cultures where fireworks are used for a lot more stuff. So it's like, yeah, you know what? And we're a very multicultural city.
Do you remember when we talked about turning my dad's ashes into fireworks or bullets?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do weird stuff nowadays.
Yes, you can.
Anywho,
yeah.
Weird couple weeks, lots of things.
Very weird
all
couple
over
weeks.
The spectrum of crazy.
Oh yeah.
We do apologize again. Last weekend was just not it was just not the weekend.
No.
To even try. We hadn't even really talked when you came home. There just wasn't a lot of time and headspace for that. It was celebration and fixing, and now we're trying to chill, trying to do some outdoor things that we've wanted to do since we moved in here, trying to decide on some wild lawn ornament things. If anybody's got any suggestions, you're welcome to email. I don't know about zombie gnomes. I keep going back and forth about it. I don't want anybody to steal them. And I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea next to my mother's beautiful angel statue. But, you know, I do have a sense of humor, and I am different like that. So
yeah, we could find the sniper gnome. I could put him under the bush, just so he's poking out.
I thought you wanted them next to the house.
Well, I do, but I think that would be really funny.
Gosh.
Get a little sniper set up in the bushes.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be funny.
Ugh.
Anyway, especially if we set it up on a motion detector so it squirts water when they walk by.
That would be great. That would be great. You might have to invent that.
Crap.
But, you know, just trying to do some outdoor things, enjoy the weather, take advantage of the time, and still relax, which I know seems like a total oxymoron, but hopefully what we have to do tomorrow won't consume the whole day. Stay in the deck. I don't know how long that would take. I've never done it.
That's not going to take very long.
Never done it. Power wash the house. Never done it.
Yes, we have.
I have never done it.
Yeah, we have. Okay, I have.
I have never done it. I can just tell you it needs it.
It's fun.
You've done this house? When did you do this house?
The year we bought the power washer. I did.
When was that?
It's a couple of years ago.
We use it so infrequently. And I don't know if you know this, but the last several summers, I have not exactly been in the most spectacular condition to do a whole lot of anything.
No.
So I'm taking advantage of it.
I am very aware, yeah.
Taking advantage of it. Oh, and one other thing. Let me share one other crazy thing that we did. And then we'll end.
Okay.
There was the celebration, the graduation of our daughter's friend.
Mm-hmm.
We have mentioned her. The one
multiple times.
The one that made choices and ended up having 2 children now at the age of 18.
Mm-hmm.
She walked. She had a graduation the other day.
Yes.
It was very nice.
Yes,
it was a great celebration to see. I don't know if she'll end up having a party or not. I haven't heard. But she also got engaged that evening. So I don't know if that will supplant the idea of a graduation open house or not. I don't know.
Don't know. Hard to say.
I don't know. I haven't heard details. Our daughter's still struggling.
Yeah.
In several ways with it all. And we have to let her.
Yeah.
We have to let her. Bittersweet. It was strange the longer we sat there.
Yes.
And I watched her walk, and we didn't end up staying to see her. She had a lot of family friends there and family, and it was a lot of people, and it was late. You needed to get home so you could go to work. Mm-hmm. But long speeches. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Long.
And yeah.
But this idea in my mind, like, she should have graduated last year, right? All the things that I remember our daughter saying a year ago kind of flooded my mind, and then remembering the drama and the circumstances of just a year ago that affected our daughter's graduation, my graduation, because of this young lady. But we know she's worked hard to be able to earn that diploma.
Yes.
And I guess I'm processing that too. It's not a forgiveness. It's not a...
No, it's just a lot to handle sometimes.
It's been... No. You know, there's the cliches about pastors' kids.
Oh, they're not cliche.
I know.
Let's be fair.
I know. The vast majority of the time, it's not cliche.
Yes.
But
I've known.
We watched this girl grow up.
Yes.
She's on pictures on our wall.
Yes.
She's
in family photos.
She's in family photos. Yeah. Our oldest wanted her present for her senior photos. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up doing some of the family shots. And then some pictures of then our youngest and her. And,
yep.
And then she came again for our youngest photos, senior photos. And
even outfit changes, man.
You just...
yeah.
I did not see it coming that way. A teen pregnancy, shocking, somehow... No, because that's the cliche, right? That's what you hear about. That's the cliche. But the way it involved us, and then what we went through as a family, and what we sacrificed, it kind of culminated in an odd way watching her graduate, because she did earn that and she did work for that. But, sadly, I just felt like, yeah, she should have, in my mind, she graduated a year ago.
Yeah.
This is already done, because we had that little celebration with her and our daughter and myself, and it was supposed to be this nice weekend, and that was then tainted with drama with her now fiance, and the fact that she found out she was pregnant again. And it was drama, and it was not fun. We did our best, but it wasn't. And I don't know. It was just an odd sensation and odd feelings to watch that. And I am happy, and I'm proud of her. And I know she's been through a lot, and she'll continue to go through a lot. But those were the choices she made, and that's the natural course of action, right? Like, it's going to happen. There's repercussions for decisions. And she will continue to have repercussions for her decisions, because the truth is, I don't think she's ever been honest with anybody about the mental illness that I know she was diagnosed with. And I know she hasn't received appropriate help for it. I know she didn't receive appropriate therapy. I know that for a fact. And she still isn't. And until she does, it's not necessarily going to benefit her to ignore it. So I'm going to wrap this back around to the mental health awareness, right?
Yeah.
So just that recap. Hard talks with parents when you think there's things going wrong. Yeah, that's real. Cognitive decline is real.
Yes.
I don't think it's ever an overstatement to have a conversation with your parents. And I know it seems strange to word it that way, but it's never too early to know what your parents want for their end of life wishes, for their estate planning, what they would want as they decline. To have those conversations and have them for real. And then if you do have any thought that there's something going on, yeah, you need to talk about it. You need to talk about it. That's just, it's so beneficial. And the drama and the chaos that would ensue as a caregiver is also real. My heart goes out to any caregiver.
Yeah.
Whether you are the spouse even, and that's still caregiving. That's still real. There's so much more I can say on that. And Mental Health Awareness Month. How ironic in this chaotic month that we have had.
Yep.
That I'm okay. I'm better than I was. Believe it or not. I still have my moments. If I stop and think about it, the magnitude of it all, it hits me kind of sideways, and I should probably be a little bit more intentional about giving it some space. But I'm too busy pouring into other people, and I know I gotta have to be poured into, right, to be able to pour out. So I know I need to do that, and I will do that. But yeah, just I had to mention that we are very proud of her, and that's still a very bittersweet situation. You know, watching you hold her youngest and he's sleeping on your shoulder for the majority of the ceremony. Just a sweet, sweet little baby.
Yep.
Little boy. And then our other really little boy in the bleachers tossing stuff around. He was super good.
Oh, yeah.
He was great.
Really crazy curly hair. It was adorable.
Oh, yeah. He just wouldn't stop moving. And then when he did, he was banging stuff around, and they ended up taking him out of the gymnasium. But he was still really good compared to some other kids.
Well, he was a little kid being a little kid. It's like...
I don't know, year-and-a-half-old kid. Yeah. He's a toddler. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal to me.
No, he was a little kid being a little kid. I don't see any problem.
Much louder children.
Oh,
but yeah, of course. And then I want to wrap this up in this way because it's the last one in May that we'll do. But yes, mental health is important. It cannot be overstated enough. The stigma is sad when we allow other people to dictate and judge us, and that keeps us from doing what we think was better for ourselves. Also sad. No shame in it. None at all. Seeking counsel. It's a biblical principle, first of all. And it is also, it's good in so many ways to just be able to, if nothing else, and the majority of my patients, they just want to talk. They just want to say the things out loud.
Mm-hmm.
That it helps to bring light to something in that darkness that you feel. Even if there's not some magnanimous thing that your counselor would have to say, it's still saying it out loud sometimes that really helps. Just to be able to
there's a
process it with somebody else.
Yeah, well, there's the idea that truly articulating the problem is half of the process of fixing it.
And not everything's fixable. Well, I don't ever want to lead anybody into believing that there's an end-all be-all.
No, but I mean, even when it comes to like mental health stuff or maladaptive behaviors, it's like understanding that it's there. Whatever happens to be. Like I said, Dad's bipolar. You could be autistic, ADHD, whatever happens to be. Understanding that you have that condition is a first step in learning how to manage it properly or utilize it properly. If and you figure that out, it's like open your mouth and talk about stuff.
There are tons of resources out there that talk about symptoms of disorders, especially when you talk about cognitive decline. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's going to look different for somebody that already has some type of neurodivergence. Hence, I know that both of your parents are experiencing something because it's so much worse. There's the we're going to say normal, not okay. And then there's the what they are now. And we haven't even really talked about that more in depth. And you needed your minute and I needed my minute, and we had other things we needed to do, and we will get to that point where we actually have that conversation about the next steps. But that's real too. And there's healing in that, and just being able to talk about the next steps. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't have power over it. It's still, I'm going to stop.
Yep.
Mental health matters. It's not just a cliche.
No, not at all. So, on that note.
So much stuff. But we got it out there.
Yes.
That's what we've been doing the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we can get back on track now.
Yes. And on that note, I'm Fix It.
I'm Feel It.
We hope you join us in the future.
Until next week.
Y'all have a great one.